Hello everybody, so my name is Shaquan Lopez and this is my channel. So it has been a long time since I posted a video. Guys, life just happens to get in the way. When life gets in the way, you kind of gotta just, go as planned. I have a piece of hair. I say, okay, anyway. Um, so I wanted to come and talk about something. It's just a mistake to avoid in your marriage when you are young. For those who don't know the story about me, I got married when I was 20 years old. I had my first child at 21 years old. So literally, we were married in April. Found out I was pregnant late May. Come February, we have a child, right? So we consummated during our honeymoon, and a baby came out of it. But we've been married for 8 years now, together for 10 years, and it has not been easy. But I wanted to come and talk about the mistakes to avoid whenever you're married. And so those three mistakes always revolve around communication, sex, and finances. You're gonna always hear about that. But what I want to do is just start a series on this and just start talking about each one more in detail, because especially for people who believe in God, read the Bible, Quran, whatever it is, whatever your spiritual base is based around, you always hear so many different things. But that's per a book. But what about the natural standpoint? Because as we know, books about that are faith based don't give you every single thing in detail. That's why many people come back and they share their experiences. And I want to share my experience being young and married. So here's a little more of a backstory. My husband is 6 years older than I am. When I met him, he was in the military. He's recently separated from the military. At that time, I was working. When I was pregnant, I got sick. I had to resign from my job. I became a housewife, did it twice. Went back to work, went back to being a housewife, school, got a degree. Still trying to see if I want to do my own degree, but now I own a business where I teach people how to invest and trade in the Forex market, stock market, cryptocurrency, whatsoever have you. There's just a lot of transitions that we've taken now in our lives. And I just want to come and talk about these things. Now, this video is going to be based around one simple topic, though. And the topic is, don't avoid talking about important stuff in your marriage. I know there are couples who, when they first got married, they didn't have the hard conversations about finances, weaknesses in each other, strengths in each other. Like, there were so many things they neglected to tell one another, and guess what happened? They're either divorced or they're going through hard in their marriage. Here's what I've learned. When you let things fester in your marriage, whether it's about you as an individual, something you don't like, something that you need, your needs are not met, your happiness is not met, although no one can truly give you happiness, and you're going to be unhappy in your marriage. And what happens when you're unhappy in your marriage? You tend to stray in your marriage. And that's something that I've learned, that a lot of people tend to do when they're not happy in their marriage. They tend to stray, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional. Maybe they turn to substance abuse, abuse themselves, go into a state of depression, whatsoever have you. Because let's be honest, when you're young and you're married, you sacrifice your young adulthood when you choose to get married. And to some people, it may not be a sacrifice. To some people, it could be what they wanted. For me, I always know I wanted to be married young. And I always tell my husband, if I could do it all over again, the one thing that I would not change is marrying him. The way we did it would have changed. I would have never, ever, and this is God's honest truth, I would have never changed my decision to marry him. I just would have did things a lot differently in the sequence of how we did things. The same date, everything, just a few things afterwards. But at the same time, there were conversations that he and I did not have, and that led to bigger problems later on in life. So when you first meet your spouse, you guys, please, 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 when you first meet them, before you get married, even a little bit after you get married, I really urge you to sit down and talk about what you expect out of life per your finances. Break your finances down. Are you in debt? What debt don't you want? What debt do you want? And trust me, we're going to be breaking these things down more videos, because trust me, we made financial decisions that were not bad decisions, but we didn't have the knowledge to improve on. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys. So talk about your finances, like just in order. What do you want as far as no debt, having debt, savings, investments, all those types of things. Because I teach people how to invest and save and trade in their future, whether it's around their schedule, with their schedule. Maybe one of you is at home and you want supplemental income. Trust me, you can get the income. You just have to be able to do it. You have to find the time to do it and treat it like it's your baby, like it's your business. Talk about things like sex. What do you expect in the bedroom? What do you expect out of the bedroom? Where, being spontaneous, like all these kinds of things. Think about each other. You're an individual, which means you both will not like the same thing all the time. You have to have the conversation about sex. How are you going to respect one another? How are you going to love one another? What does your partner like? What don't they like? And even when you're young, trust me, when you're young, you don't know everything that you think you know when it comes to sex. You truly don't even know what you actually like. You may know the beginning phase what you like, but there's going to come a phase where you experience new things, or there's going to come a point in time where you want to experience something, and you have to have that conversation with your spouse to say, I want to experience A, B, C, and D. Are you okay with experiencing some of these things? What are you not okay with experiencing or experimenting with me in? Because you have to have that conversation. Some of you don't know, but I'm a triplet, so it's two more of me. And some of the things that my sisters tell me that they do, I could not do. And I'm sure some of the things that I do, they could not do. So it's still you're individuals, right? And then at the same time, you have to be careful, because when you talk about your experiences and what you want with your friends or your family, whomever, you have to be careful not to let what they did influence what you want to do. Because if your spouse is not okay with that, you have to be okay with them not being okay with it. And if they're not okay and you really want to do this thing, please don't think that seeking it outside is going to make you happy. Because if you experience that thing with someone else and it's not what you thought, you're like consciously you're going to be distraught. So just always be open and have an open door policy with your spouse to say, this is what I want, this is what I wanted, what can we do about it? Okay. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about is, don't avoid the communication issue in your marriage as well. There will be times when us as women, we're emotional creatures. We already know that, men. We know we're emotional. That's from childhood. We know that. But there's two parts of this. The first part is men. Understanding that your wife is not like everybody else. Women, understand your husband is not like everybody else. You're one of a kind. And one of a kind for both of us individuals means you both uniquely have to come together to talk. You both have two different love languages. You both communicate differently, and you have to understand the way you both communicate. In the beginning of my marriage, I knew my husband was quiet. He's meek. He's mild. He's not an aggressive person. Over the years, though, he's changed, and I see more of his personality. The more I spend time with his family, the more I see where he gets it from. And I know for sure the more he spends time with me, the more he sees where I get my personality from and why I am the way I am. It's not a bad thing. It's just that when you're first with someone, you isolate yourself to that person. You may be around that person's family, but sometimes your attention is so focused on that person you want to be with, you neglect the little things about their family, their family's traits, and where they pick stuff up at. And then along the way, when you're around the family more, that's when you tend to see it. So, but with my husband, in the beginning, he was a public, he loved PDA a lot. I didn't really like PDA. He loved to hold me and all those kinds of things. And as we got older and into our marriage, he dwindled down from that. And I didn't understand it at first. So as time went on, he kind of regressed from it. Like he just stopped doing some things. He wasn't as affectionate, and I became more affectionate. I wanted more of his love. Where in the beginning I was kind of standoffish, because in the beginning when I meet some men, I don't really like to touch on them or anything. That's just my personality. But when I truly feel comfortable with you, then it becomes a bit different. But he's my husband, so of course I wanted more affection and everything from him. But as we got older and I started to notice his family's dynamic and his mother and father's dynamic, that's when I understood, okay, your mother and father are like this. That's why you do that. And he had to break it down to me as well, because my husband's not a very emotional person. So we were just communicating a lot differently, body language wise. But then I'm pretty sure verbally we were communicating different as well. When my husband was quiet when we first met, now he's a chatterbox with me. and he's opening up a lot more. So as we get older, more comfortable with each other, we talk differently now. Where in the beginning, a lot of things we did not communicate correctly, and we did avoid hard conversations and hard topics because we were assuming what the other person was going to say or what the other person was going to do. And I want to say this: having assumptions in your marriage are dangerous, because if you always assume what the person's going to do and you don't give them the benefit of the doubt that they can actually change, that will hinder your marriage. That will hinder your marriage. So please understand, people change, your spouse change. My uncle always says this: you can be with someone for 30 years and they always drink Pepsi, and then one day they switch to Coke. And unless you really look and you pay attention, you'll never understand why or when it happened. So you have to really focus on your spouse and have those hard conversations. So please don't avoid the hard topics. You guys, I promise you, this is going to make your marriage so much better. And I think this is really why people stray sometimes, or people assume, like, let's say for men, right? Let's say for men. Because women, I do believe women will tell you what they're lacking a lot, because we're just chatterboxes. Like, that's what we women do. We tell you what we need and what we want. It's up to you men to not say, well, she's just nagging, or I don't know what she's talking about, she always saying what she wants. But if you're not put into action, and it's just not one time, man, because sometimes men love to do things one time and think it's enough. No, if your wife is consistently and constantly asking you to do something, you need to do what she's willing to, like what she's telling you she wants to do. Because when that dwindles down, she's finding it somewhere else, or she's compensating somewhere else. So you really have to pay attention to what your spouse needs, what they want, and what they're asking you to do. I truly believe that women will do that. But at the same time, I think for men, when it comes to communication, men have a harder time expressing themselves. It just depends on the family, because it's something about these down south men. I'm going to be honest. Down south men talk. They love to talk. And they're not ones to hold their feelings back. I'm a down south girl. They're not really ones to hold their feelings back. They're going to let you know what they're thinking, everything, because they're just blunt. But then, you come across some men who are more reserved. But that goes right back to the family as well. Well, how did they grow up? What is it? So it's just really all about it's just really about not avoiding the conversation, you guys. That's what it mainly boils down to, because I don't want to sound repetitive, but you really have to hit those points. You have to be truthful with one another, especially when you're young and you're entering into this marriage. No one knows how to be married until they're married. I don't care if you've been in a family full of married folk. I don't care if all your friends are married. You ain't never been married to this person before. And the people who are your friends and your family members have never been married to that person either. So you truly don't know someone until you truly live with them. And then again, you still don't know them because y'all both are going to change. But the one thing must stay common. Don't avoid hard topics. Don't avoid not telling someone how you feel. And don't avoid not talking about things that matter, that's going to go in between you two for the rest of your life. Life decisions, finances, children, debt, sex, your needs, your happiness, your personal thoughts. All these things matter. Have as many conversations with each other as you can. Be as open as you can. Don't just be fruitful and multiply with children. Be fruitful and multiply with your words, with your life, with your happiness. You have to multiply memories with this person. So it's important that you continue to do it day in and day out. Literally, I honestly think that's what's been saving me and my husband's marriage, because you guys, everyone goes through. There is no perfect marriage. I promise you, there is not. I don't care what Instagram shows you. I don't care what YouTube shows you. I don't care what Facebook shows you, Twitter, these goals, these life goals, relationship goals, anything. Everyone is an individual. Every couple is an individual. Like, every single thing. Don't compare. Make it work with you and your spouse. Be different, you and your spouse. Don't avoid the hard topics. They will help. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be trying to put out one video a week, especially for this month. That's my goal. One video a week, maybe every Sunday. So I will see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned for the series.